Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another special episode of Winning Picks Weekly, going through the NCAA college football conferences, going through the ACC today. Definitely check out last week's episodes on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there. You could find us on Knicks, Jets, etc. Period. No one writes it out. Don't be crazy. When you go to our YouTube, we got the Jets, we got the Knicks, and we got the Winning Picks Weekly playlists. So you could be up to date on the Jets season, the Knicks season. We just went live for the Jets episode. We got the Winning Picks Weekly. We're doing all the college conferences, and then we're doing the NFL conferences. You already know how we feel about the daily baseball, but we tweet that out from our account. You can find that at Winning P Weekly on Twitter. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your podcast, and leave us a comment. That'd be great. Let us know what you got on our YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter in our DMs. Let us know. You want to let us know on the timeline what you're taking. We appreciate it. We love the banter. And with no further ado, I mean, what a perfect night of sports. We're recording on Monday night here. They got the Jets preseason game rolling through into the second half. We talk daily baseball here almost every episode. We got the Yankees and the Mets going to the top of the ninth here. Is Chapman coming in to get all the let's put all the marbles into the middle here on this Winning Picks Weekly episode. As always, joined by video producer of Knicks, Jets, etc. And honestly, at this point, the third co-host of the Jets episode. So what up, Greg?
What's going on? Yeah, happy to be third chair on the Jets episode. Happy to be here with you guys talking gambling. And football is back in a major way. I mean, the Yankee game, they got the signs back there for the pumpkin lattes back at Dunkin' Donuts. No free ads, but it's fall, baby. Football is here. We got it going. So I'm happy to be talking some college football. Happy to be getting into the NFL divisions next week or wherever we start with that. And then looking forward to sticking with you guys all season long as we pick all these games because there's a lot to go through. And I'm happy we're doing the ACC this week. I got a couple questions for you guys.
Yeah, man, AC is gonna be awesome. Lasagna, my boy, sticking in Peralta in the bullpen. So no Chappie tonight. As always, I'm glad that we have Chip here, Chip Murphy7 on Twitter, our boy writer for Knicks Fan TV. I'm glad that he's with us on this pod, fellow Yankee fan, during these trying times in the ninth inning here. What up, Chip?
What's up, man? Times are looking up right now. I'm not trying to jinx us or anything, but
This is exactly what jinxing it is. So
I'm just saying. I liked what I saw tonight. I liked what I saw so far.
Oh, definitely. I definitely like what I saw against Scherzer. That's in the past. We can talk about that. We did well against Scherzer, period. But moving on to our expertise here, where we got the ACC. Honestly, one of the more fun conferences in football, especially with Clemson all of a sudden becoming a powerhouse, and then just as suddenly as they became a powerhouse, they seem to not. They seem to have fallen off just in terms of nationally, but they still are the kings, hypothetically, of the ACC. We all know what they did to our parlays with the Clemson winning the ACC last year. So we're definitely going to get into all of that. But first off here, guys, ACC, we talk about champions. They have two divisions here. This is the last time they're ever doing the divisions, which lucky us, right? It was our first time covering the entire conference from the preview. We got the two divisions. Do you guys think that that makes a big difference here? And ACC is going to be completely changed next year. And do you think that it's going to make a difference in kind of how this year plays out in any way?
Would it make a difference this year if there were no divisions, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the championship game would be different.
Oh,
I think the top two teams would be different if there were no divisions. But
go ahead. Start us off here. Don't hold the rabbit. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think Clemson and NC State are going to have the top two records. And I wasn't sold on NC State at all. I was trying to talk myself out of it because I'm all about history and everything and trends. And NC State hasn't done what they did. They haven't won like this since back when Philip Rivers was quarterback in like the early 2000s. And I'm like, what am
Shout
I?
out
What
Philip
am I?
Rivers.
What am I thinking? And he was awesome in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I thinking? What am I doing with this team? But man, their defense was awesome last year.
Yeah.
And they went into Clemson and won 2 years ago. And
Two of their three losses last year, I think the total was by 4 points.
yeah, and
Yeah.
they had that they 10 of their 11 starters on that defense are coming back, by the way. And if you look at like their hold on, let's just had their all their metrics up, like every single of they do like the 5 factors of importance on college football stats.
Yeah.
All of their defensive side is all like towards the top half of the country. Like 3 of them, the field position on defense, they're 5th. The efficiency on defense, they were 3rd in the nation. It's incredible for an ACC and FBS team to be that high. And explosiveness on defense, they were 17th. And then turnover margin on defense, they were 32nd. But no, their defense is fantastic. And Dave Dorn's a really good coach.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Underrated.
man.
They're definitely an underrated program, especially with the Pickett in there and Clemson stuff. They're definitely underlooked. I agree.
They're getting the most hype they've ever gotten, which was what concerned me in the first place. But I'm also all about consistency. And when you see how much they're bringing back, and they have a quarterback with Leary, who is a stud and who knows the system well and who put up monstrous numbers last year, I'm high. I got to say I'm high on them. And then you have Clemson, who I'm not this narrative like, Clemson is done. Like, I just don't buy that. I think like we all want them to fail because I think it's fun to like welcome in the idea of something new. But man, before the last 2 seasons, last year and 2021, last year 2021, and then 2020, the COVID year, Clemson had won like 11 straight regular season games. I think dating back to since 2014, I want to say. I can double check that right now, but I think it was 2014. Let me look that up.
I mean, yeah. Dude, they've been pretry much unstoppable. I mean,
2014. It was 2014.
It's just that they lost to Pitt and Georgia Tech last year, dude. I mean, that's why we're all mad. There's nothing against Dabo. It's nothing against the entire program. They just had. We're not saying they weren't great for the last decade. We're not like going to go to Watson. But, but I'm saying like they lost to Pitt and Georgia Tech last year.
They finally got a quarterback who who didn't look like an NFL top 10 pick is what happened. They've hit on quarterbacks just so consistently. And finally they got a 5-star who didn't look like a superstar right away. And I actually think DJ is going to turn it around. I think he's going to be really good. Obviously like everyone, I do a few long shot bets every once in a while on college football futures. One of mine was DJ to win the Heisman, just in case. I mean, he's a former 5-star recruit. Yeah, just it's obviously crazy long shot. It's plus 4,500 on DraftKings. It was when I got it anyway. I'm sure it still is. He was a 5-star recruit. What if he turns it around, goes bananas this year? If he has a slow start, like they're at Georgia Tech, Furman, home against Furman, La Tech, and at Wake, so they should start 4-0, but they could start 4-0 with him not playing very well. And then they have the big one October 1st against NC State. If he's not playing well going into the NC State game, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets benched because they have the true freshman coming off the bench. And obviously parallels have been drawn to Trevor Lawrence coming off the bench as the true freshman, but I don't think he's quite that type of player, but I think it was worth taking a shot on DJ for the Heisman just because we already saw what he could be, and obviously in small flashes, but I like Clemson and NC State as the top two teams
Okay.
in this conference, and you can't pick NC State to win the
9. Are you taking the over? Are you taking the over?
I
That's
did
what's
not.
important here. Are you taking? Do you like the over for NC State over 8.5 and the Clemson over 10.5? That's how we know if you really like them.
I took Clemson over 10.5, and I took NC State to win 10 games, which is plus 125 on FanDuel.
Okay. All
And
right.
I also took Clemson to make the college football playoff at plus 145. I think they can do that.
All right.
I
So
think
you're all
that's
over
the right one.
Clemson and NC State right now.
Yes.
Greg, you heard Chip go off about his top two teams. Let's just stick with his top two teams for now. And then at the end, let us know if you have someone that's challenging that. But how do you feel about his optimism here? Do you like, I mean, he's got Clemson in the championship. He's got NC State, the alternate line at 10 plus wins. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about Clemson and NC State?
I feel a little bit more confident in NC State to hit the over than I do Clemson. They're one of the picks that I'm making. I'm taking their over this year just because of the consistency that they've shown with their coaching staff and their team over the last three or 4 or 5 years. I think they won 9 games 3 of the last 5 years. Over-under's 8.5. They looked pretty good last year. They're bringing a lot of guys back, to Chip's point. Clemson, I'm just a little nervous about for a lot of the reasons that Chip mentioned. Last year was their first year without a stud quarterback. It didn't go well. DJ got a lot of hype going into the season and then just did not play as advertised. So that could be a huge problem for them this season because, I mean, let's face it, like you said, NC State's the first one. At Wake Forest, the week before that in September is not the easiest game, depending on if their quarterback's healthy. At Florida State, probably pretty easy. But then at Notre Dame's a tough game too. So 10.5, you have. It depends. It depends on Notre Dame and what they got going on. But this defense is what's carried them really for a lot of the championships. I know a lot of people like to talk about Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people like to talk about Watson. But Trevor Lawrence's year, Trevor Lawrence has some pretty bad games in the championship game or the playoffs when they lost. And their defense is what held them in there. And now their D coordinator, blanking on his name right now, but he went to Oklahoma.
Venables. Yeah, it's a new OC and a new DC. And they didn't do search. That was another. That
Greg's
was one thing that. Yeah, that was. Yeah, no, me too. The changeover. That's the thing that concerned me about NC State was the lack of program success or whatever you want to call it. The thing that concerned me about Clemson was all the turnover with the both coordinator spots and how Dabo, typical Dabo fashion, didn't do any coaching search and was just like, oh, I'm just going to promote from within 2 guys who know the team very well, but don't have any experience as coordinators. That was kind of a concern, but the OC was the quarterback's coach, so he knows DJ very well. So I like that. But yeah, like you said, Venables, the defensive coordinator, was massive to that defense. So I just think that defense is so freaking loaded, man. Like there's so many NFL players on that defense. I just think they're going to be awesome no matter who's the coordinator, at least for a little while. Maybe it'll catch up with them eventually, but I don't think it will this year.
I agree with you. And also, too, the problem with Clemson, too, is like their defense is so good that you have to reload every year. And we just didn't see that last year. Yeah, they had, I just scrolled down, so I don't know, they had 10 wins last year. Tough loss at Wake Forest, kept them out of the, divisional game.
Shouldn't be an issue this year.
Shouldn't be an issue this year, but it shouldn't have been an issue last year. If you remember Clemson did not look good most of the season. The running game looked pretty good at some points, but even that wasn't as advertised. So I'm a little worried about Clemson, how they're going to be able to rebound after, not so great year. The problem is with these top end programs, it's like a not so great year is an amazing year on paper. So you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, they started the year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0-7 against the spread. We're a gambling podcast. That's what I care about. I don't care too much about what your record is, except for when it comes to the overs and the unders. I mean, you start out 0-7, you're just not even covering any of these games. It's tough. I mean, they have.
I wouldn't bet them. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on Clemson when they have these big spreads. That's definitely not something to do.
Yeah, I think if I'm taking Clemson, I'm taking, to your point, Chip, like if they put it all together, to win the national championship at a plus 800, just because you can maybe
Yeah.
hedge it out if they win the first round. But a lot of things need to come together. One, the defense needs to be as good as last year, when I think they're only bringing back 6 or so guys on defense. So you have to reload. You have to reload with a new coordinator. Your star coordinator just got a top-end job at Oklahoma. Your offense needs to figure it out when your offense wasn't that good. You have a true freshman waiting in the corner to come in. DJ's got to deal with that. I do think, though, if they do piece it together, it's going to be on the back of DJ. So I actually do like the DJ as a Heisman pick, just because. And I do like the Clemson to make the playoffs or win the playoffs, however you want to bet it. Just because if all the pieces do come together, their schedule is not crazy. They should be able to handle Notre Dame. They should be able to handle NC State if they're the Clemson of old. The real question is, as we all have, is are they the Clemson of old? Or do they have to reload for another couple of years until they're back to contending year in year out?
Was last year an anomaly, or is last year how it's going to be for going forward?
Yeah, so that's definitely the question for Clemson. I mean, I know I definitely got burned. I mentioned with the conference parlay going into last year, but as you mentioned, Greg, tough go for Clemson for 2/3 of the schedule against the spread, man.
Yeah.
It was tough out there. And, this year, the over for 10.5 is plus 105, and the under is minus 125. Okay, so that is a huge difference. You know what I mean, from going into last year, but honestly, the last decade, it feels like, right, with Clemson, just anything positive was always, you're paying the vig on.
Yeah, in years past, if the over under was 10.5, like to your point, it was minus 120, minus 125. Like, it was juiced to the gills because they shouldn't lose a game, and if they do, they're gonna lose one to a really high end team. So it's not the case right now.
You're right, and looking at the schedule, you guys mentioned it. NC State is definitely one of the difficult teams. I don't think Notre Dame should be an issue, like you guys mentioned. I'm with you there. You got South Carolina last game of the year. That's always pesky, right? That's the rivalry. That's going to be an issue. But, dude, I'm going to go into it because I'm so confident about this team that I'm nervous. I'm so confident about the Miami Hurricanes that I feel weird. I'm not sure if everyone agrees with me, and that's why I feel weird, or everyone's going to look at me like I'm insane. That's why I feel weird. But the Hurricanes, man, not only you guys are talking about Heismans, their quarterback definitely could win the Heisman. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name. Right? So we'll just go with the Miami Hurricanes quarterback.
It's Van Dyke.
Tyler Van
Dyke. Yeah.
Oh, Van Dyke. Okay. So it's Van Dyke. So I thought it was DJU. So we got Van. I got confused. So we got Van Dyke as the quarterback. But what I'm really excited about here and why I care the most is because they got the oldest human being on the planet to be their defensive coordinator. I can't believe that Kevin Steele has coached 47 Power 5 programs. Is that even a real number? 47 Power 5 programs. If the Hurricanes have a real defense, that would be awesome. But honestly, that is the worst part of their whole team. They lost a lot of players for the transfer, for graduation, on their D-line especially. They got like 4 or 5 guys that were all starters that they lost. So that's kind of tough. But they have not only do they have Van Dyke at quarterback, a Heisman candidate at least, in my opinion. I really do think with this Hurricanes team. But they have an NFL offensive line. It's just one of those teams that has an offensive line that could be lethal. And in the ACC, where defense is not really, I wouldn't say it's the number one asset in the ACC here. I really like this Miami Hurricanes team, dude. Can you guys walk me off this cliff before I take the over on Miami, before I take them to win the conference? Like, could you guys walk me off this cliff?
No, the Coastal stinks. Who else is going to win it? I mean, I'm not.
They're definitely going to the championship game.
I mean, I'm betting them to win the Coastal. I don't think they'll beat Clemson, but
that's minus money, no?
No, to win the Coastal is plus 155 on DraftKings.
Oh,
Or it was when I got I don't know what the change is now, but
so they're definitely gonna win the division. Do you feel like that too, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, unless barring like something crazy happening, like I mean, just looking at the lineup, like I don't know what you guys think about Pitt yet. Pitt was pretty good last year. I think they're gonna have a down year this year.
Of course.
Yeah,
Well, they lost the two best players.
people are
Yeah.
way too high on Pitt. I don't get the Pitt thing. I
Yeah,
don't know
so
why their number's 8.5.
But I feel like it's so amateur to say, oh, they lost Pickett and Addison, but like they lost Pickett and Addison. I feel like everybody should be down on
They
them, and I
also
should say,
lost their
oh, they're still going to
OC.
be good.
Also lost their. I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think some of the I heard a report too the other day that like some of the there was like frustration at Pitt last year because of like the aired out offense that they were running.
The head coach said that. The head coach said, "Hey, we had an offensive coordinator in here who really liked to throw the ball a lot. It's like it had huge like old man yelling at the cloud vibes. Like we don't need these stinking analytics vibes. It's like
Yeah,
and he's a really boring coach, Pat Narduzzi, the Pitt coach. And you know who he brought in to replace him was the offensive coordinator at Boston College, who's run like some of the worst offenses in the country the last couple years. And he runs this boring pro style offense. They're just going to run the ball a ton like Pitt has in the past and just try and bore everyone to death. And yeah, I mean, I'm low on Pitt, obviously. I gave away one of my under picks, probably.
yeah,
But-
same. And for that
I'm taking them under.
reason, I really do think that Miami, especially if it's plus money, I think that's great because Miami is just breaking out the checkbook. They're bringing in whoever they can. Cristobal's back. I mean, the team looks like it's ready to roll. They had an okay season last year. I know they bounced around from good season to bad season to terrible season to bad season to okay season. So I feel like they're on the upswing. A few starters coming back on both sides of the ball. I think the offense is going to be much improved with Van Dyke. I think that, the defense is going to be a little bit better than it was last year, but it doesn't need to be crazy to win the division.
You think it's going to be better?
The defense?
Yeah, you think the Miami defense is going to improve?
Miami
from last
defense.
year?
I think a little bit, right?
Okay, well, that's what I'm worried about. Like, see, that's why I'm trying to walk off the cliff because I think I'm focused too much on the offense, and I just think the Hurricanes are going to do so well, and I'm not taking into account that they're losing so many defensive guys, and that's why I started off, praising the veteran leadership of Steele, because that's what they're going to have to kind of hone in on here. That's like my only trepidation. With being all over Miami. Miami and Oregon, to me, they just feel like easy teams that should do well. However, I do like NC State. I don't think teams are going to score much off NC State, which is, could be a problem for someone like Miami who has bad defense. If they don't score, that's where NC can capitalize. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm leaning here.
Yeah, I was just reading the kind of blurb that I had in front of me. The other thing too is like last year they had 5 freshmen starting on defense, so they're sophomores now. They're much more improved. Cristobal got the transfer portal going, got 3 or 4 guys in on the defensive line. I think they had a pretty good safety. I think they had a pretty good corner last year, so they're going to be back. Like I said, I think it's just moving in the right direction for Miami. Do I think Miami is going to shock the world and win the ACC? I think there's an outside chance at plus 500, plus 600, whatever the bet is. I think those odds are kind of in line with how crazy it's going to be because I think they're going to walk to that game, whether it's NC State or Clemson on the other side. I don't know exactly, but looking at their schedule, I mean, you're taking the over 8.5? Because I think I'm taking the over 8.5. I can't help you walk off this ledge because I'm right there with you, buddy.
Because there's just one game. There's just one game I'm literally worried about, and that's Clemson.
Right, Clemson.
And if they beat Clemson,
well, no. What about A&M? They got A&M.
Texas A&M's gonna be tough. At Texas A&M's gonna be tough.
It's in A&M.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game. So that's one. Clemson's gonna be a tough game, and then the projected spread 2 or 3 points against Pittsburgh at home. I think to end the season, I think they're gonna kill Pittsburgh.
Completely.
Yeah,
I think like the analytics that they love Pitt. I was reading like some of the stats. Like for some reason they love Pitt this year. I don't get it. That must have something to do with the spread.
Yeah,
because
so
I don't get it.
you're looking at two tough games where they're underdogs. Other than that, they're favored in every game. They get Florida State at home. They get North Carolina at home. They have to go to Virginia Tech. They have to go to Virginia. Not too worried about either of those games. Say they win one and lose one. You're looking at 3 losses if they lose to Clemson, at Texas A&M, and then a toss-up between Virginia Tech and Virginia. You're sitting at 9-3. You hit the over, and you're good to go. So the season could come down to Pittsburgh at the end of the season. The bet could come down at the end of the season to Pittsburgh, and I'm okay with that because, like we've all been saying, we're not high on Pittsburgh. I'm high on Miami, not just this season, but what they're building going forward.
If that's the case, they're going to be fighting for a seat in the championship game too for the conference. So they, what I'm saying, they're going to be aligned.
I don't know if they have a shot at making I think if Miami's going to win, it's going to be because they're 10-2, Clemson's 9-3, and NC State's 10-2. I don't think they're going to have a shot at making the college football playoff if that's what you're saying.
Well, if they win the ACC, it's always possible. It just depends on the other teams. But I was talking about just being in the ACC conference game.
Oh yeah, I think they are. So that's why I said I'm taking them plus 550, plus 500, plus 600. Yeah. I'm going to take them when we get to the conference winners. But for now, just talking about the overs, I'm taking the over all the way because I see maybe 3 losses on this record. And like I said, Texas A&M.
Can I give you another loss?
Yeah.
I actually really think it's going to happen. It's October 8th versus UNC. UNC has an offense.
Do they?
That's the type of team that can beat Miami. In the lull, oh yeah, no problem. I don't know. I'm scared of teams with an offense against Miami. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, but what's UNC's offense without Howell look like? I don't know.
I don't know either. But if you tell me Pitt's going to be good.
I'm not telling you that.
Yeah, I'm not telling you
that. No, I'm not you. You said the analytics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, UNC, their top running back's gone. Their top quarterback's gone. 5 people returning on offense. It looks like a tough mountain to climb for them. I'm not sure.
Always. I mean, I guess they might thrive. The expectations are low, which I think they'll do better with that, but they do always disappoint.
Oh, last year was a big disappointment for UNC.
Yeah, I was gonna say you said they had an offense. Last year didn't look too good. So
he has a long history of disappointing seasons. Mac Brown.
I think they're technically ranked 21 overall. I think they're
Carolina,
35 rushing and 69 passing. Yeah, their defense was 168th. Which I don't know how many teams they rank. If they're 168. I imagine I could name 169 teams. I don't want to get into that exercise.
Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule last year. They definitely put up a lot of points against bad teams. But, 30 points against NC State, 23 against Pitt, 23 against Florida State. They scored 59 on Virginia. Okay. Last year they were in a shootout against Miami, 45.
That's what I'm saying.
So they score big, but that's that kind of inflates their stats a little bit. I'm seeing here, to your point, they're 16th in the country at points per game, scoring 36 or 35 points a game last season. But they were putting up 50 or 40 on bad teams and then putting up 20 on good teams.
But one of those teams is Miami, and I think their defense got worse. So that's why I was pointing out that I think that might be one of those games that they lose.
Yeah,
I'm just pointing it out there. They're going to be hyped they're going to be ready for A&M. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be ready for Pitt because of last year, even if they stink this year. And it's going to be the last game of the season. They're going to be ready for Clemson, right? But, Bethune-Cookman, that's the first game of the season. Otherwise, they might not be ready for that one. You know what I mean? But UNC was a shootout last year.
Yeah.
I think their defense got worse. I really do. So I love Miami here. That's my value picks everywhere in this conference. I'm taking them to win the conference. I don't want to take the over, but I am. I saw it at 9.5. I locked it in at 9.5. I think it's up now. So I like Miami, but I think you guys have talked me into NC State a little bit here because defense does win championships, especially conference championships. I could see NC State being one of those teams that we talk about this year being are they worthy of the national championship? You know what I mean? If they run the table. You know, if they beat Clemson, if they win the conference, I could see NC State being that kind of team just because of their defense. You know what I mean? And then obviously they play a real squad and they get rocked. You know what I mean? Because their only competition was Clemson. If Clemson lost to them, then
Because
Clemson
that's what
lost to them at
happens in
home.
college football. Yeah.
Yeah, especially at home too.
Eventually, you play an SEC team and lose. And that's what happens.
Yeah,
Or Big Ten.
to your point, John, I do agree that. Like I was talking about taking Miami at plus 500, plus 600, whatever it might be. I mean, I guess it depends. Let me look it up right now. What it is on FanDuel. Yeah, Miami's plus 500. NC State plus 750. To your point, them and Clemson have the defense in the division, in the conference. So whoever wins between NC State and Clemson at the end of the year, I think they're going to win that conference championship game. So you're kind of talking me off the Miami to win the conference. I still like the over, but now I'm doubling down on NC State. They're going to be another pick of mine to win the conference, but scratch my Miami pick. This is why we do this. This is why we talk it out. It's why we like you guys commenting, interacting with us on Twitter, Winning Piggy Weekly on Twitter. Like and comment on the video right now if you're watching. It really helps us out. I'm switching to NC State. Scratch my Miami pick. Give me NC State to win the ACC at plus 750. Get a little 250 extra points there. I like that.
I kind of like it too, man.
Because this defense is good. To your point, we're not sure. We're kind of indifferent. I think Miami's defense could be a little bit better, but again, they were like the 9th ranked defense in the ACC on scoring defense, 7th ranked overall.
They lost 5 guys.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I mean, NC State bringing pretty much everyone back on defense, and their defense was good. So
they don't play anyone. Like it's just at Clemson, October 1st.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it yet, but NC State's one of my other over picks. I don't know if we went through their schedule, but their schedule, I mean, they're underdog 1 game at Clemson, and then other than that, at Louisville, at North Carolina to end the season, projected to be 2-point favorites. Not worried about Louisville, not worried about North Carolina this year. So, other than that, they have everyone at home.
You have successfully. I think I've walked off the ledge, and I think I'm all over NC State. The more I think about it, the more I talk about it. Yeah, because I'm trying. It's like almost like that's that feeling, that pit in my stomach when I think of the Hurricanes. Like I think it's real. This NC State team. I get your history thing, Chip, but
no, I did take them to win 10 games. I do think they're going to win 10 games because you guys said the schedule is soft.
Who are they going to lose to besides Clemson in your highs?
No. I don't.
I'm just
they might lose one to someone else at some point.
Yeah,
they might just
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah,
it's not going to be Wake Forest. I promise you that. We can get into that a little bit.
I don't think they can beat Clemson. That's what
fine.
I see.
But that's a lot I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't even see another game that they can fall off in. I mean, at UNC's the last game of the season.
At
Texas
these
Tech.
Some of these road games get weird in the ACC. Like
if you even tell me Syracuse, I'm gonna throw up.
I was going to say Syracuse.
I know. That's just like, come on. NC State's not gonna lose to Syracuse.
Syracuse has beaten Clemson at the Carrier Dome.
It's true.
Yeah. Like it's not an easy place to play.
It's true.
Chip, if you have the cojones, Chip, take the over.
I already I took them to win 10 games. That's the plus 125.
He's talking about Syracuse. So we're talking about the Syracuse.
I already bet the over on Syracuse.
What is it?
It's over 5 plus 110 on DraftKings. Take it.
Why would I do that?
Take it.
All right, now
they're going bowling this year. Cuse is going bowling.
Yeah, they're going bowling at the local Rabs Country Bowling Alley, bro. Their schedule, where are they going to grab 6 wins? I mean, I'll give you Wagner College. Shout out Staten Island. All right? I'll give you that one. Okay? But the Louisville, UConn.
At home.
Purdue at home.
Louisville
Purdue at home. Virginia. What's their record after 4?
After Louisville, UConn, Purdue, Virginia, Wagner, that's 5. I think they can start 4-1 after those.
4-1. Who are
Yeah.
they gonna lose to? Just curious. This amazing Syracuse team. That's gonna go.
I didn't say amazing,
I'm saying, what's the one? What's the one?
but even
Out of
the
these five.
I
Who are you
think
scared of here the most? Virginia at 7 p.m. Because there's a 0 chance Syracuse winning.
a 0% chance they lose to
What's the spread?
Virginia.
Greg, you have a spread on that game?
That's -0.5 on mine, but it's again the projected spread.
Well,
Yeah, they're basically
They're
they have
even.
their and they're 4-point dogs against Louisville on this, which is whatever. But no, I think the most likely loss would be Purdue, just because it's non-conference. I think, yeah. But I think they can go 4-1, and then
the
I think
gauntlet comes.
and
I
I
let
think-
you off easy there. And then
I
we got
think
the
they'll
gauntlet.
lose. I think they'll lose 4 straight, and I think they'll be 4.
Yeah, NC
four.
State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Pitt. I don't care who's the quarterback at Pitt. Those 4 are 100% losses. So that's 5 losses. And now you just have to win out Florida State, Wake, and BC. That's
No,
your
you don't-
over.
No, you don't have to win out. You have to win 2 out of the last 3.
Oh, okay.
4 and 5, you win 2 out of the last 3.
Because you went 4-1 in the first
Yeah.
5 weeks. is that Syracuse's best start ever?
Definitely not their best start ever.
Have they ever been 5-0?
Years, I don't know.
They had
They're
McNabb.
5-0?
They had some good teams in the past. And I think you're talking like it's crazy they could start 4-1, like they have some murderer's row schedule at the start. Like they
Damn,
play
Could
their
start 5-0.
yeah, to start the season, they're Louisville at home, at UConn, who suck. Then they're Purdue at home, who I think is a little bit overrated. Then they're
They have a
Virginia.
running game.
Yeah,
They have a
okay.
running
Well,
game.
so does Syracuse. Syracuse is one of the
I'm
best
saying
running backs
Syracuse
in the
has a running
country.
game. That's
Yeah.
all they have.
Oh,
It's a
I
running
thought you were
game.
talking about Purdue.
Yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
run the ball. If you stop that, then what happens?
Well, then Syracuse is gonna lose. Yeah,
yeah.
obviously, that's what I'm saying.
They have a good rush defense too, Syracuse.
Yeah, they have a good defense.
They have Cody
Yeah.
Roscoe, right? Well, but he's done.
They have a terrible pass defense. Oh,
I'm saying Cody Roscoe was their guy last year, and he's done. So
what was
I
that?
don't know. Who's the guy? Who's left? He has a fun name. Wax. What's his name?
don't
Who?
remember.
On Syracuse?
Yeah,
No.
Marlo Wax. My man Marlo Wax. Him, Stephon Thompson, and Mikael Johnson was their leading tackle last year.
Yeah.
I'll watch some Syracuse, but all right.
Roscoe was really good.
Yeah, Marlo Waxy's back.
Yeah, dude.
Roscoe was really good. That one hurts. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I'm saying that was the whole squad. All right, so you got the over on Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
definitely
desperation season.
I'm definitely going under.
You're going under 5? Man. You're
Under
gonna
5.5. They're gonna win 5 games. One is Wagner. Boom, right there. They're gonna find.
wait.
4 more somewhere.
You don't think they're gonna beat UConn?
At UConn? Is UConn gonna go winless?
Oh
Because
my
literally,
God.
Could be.
No. I'm asking because every single game so far that we've seen UConn, we count that as a win, and also Notre Dame. I'm keeping track of both of those because I'm excited to do Notre Dame because literally every single team that played them, we count that as a win. Like at some point, Notre Dame's gonna win
it's
games. So let me look at UConn's schedule. Oh, okay.
Yeah, while you look at that real quick, the little fun fact: Syracuse 15-5 over the last 5 years as an underdog of 10 or more points. Covering
Against the spread or
Covering the spread.
overall. Okay.
Covering the spread.
I'm about to say, if they're hitting those money lines, we're
Yeah,
missing out.
15-5 to the under. So if they have a couple 10-point spreads, NC State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, those are all projected 10 or more. When
They're
they
gonna
play
ugly
those
up
good
the game.
teams, take the under.
They're gonna ugly up the game, probably. Yeah.
Yo, let me ask you a question. What is the UConn Syracuse spread week 3? And what is the UConn Michigan spread? They go to Michigan and NC State back to back. Who hates UConn? Like, who did that?
That's why these independent teams, some of them just play insane schedules.
That is a tough life
just-
there.
Well, they don't care about football there, so they just want money.
Projected spreads, I mean, these are insane. Utah State first week 21.5. Syracuse plus 23 at home. Michigan plus 46 at Michigan. NC State plus 41 at NC State.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I figured those are the numbers we're looking at.
Yeah, these small programs, it's all about the money. It's like they'll get paid $1 million to play against Michigan, so those go to Michigan.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. I'll give you UConn. I'll give you Wagner. As easy ones. I'll give you Wake Forest. That's 3 right there off the bat. You didn't have to play them. Just simming them. Because I'm taking the Wake Forest under. Are you beating BC? At BC? Are you beating Florida State at home?
They're beating Florida State and BC. They're losing to Wake. I think Hartman will be back by then. I think people are dramatically overrating BC.
Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 wins there. Then they have to win either Louisville, Purdue, or Pitt.
No, they don't.
Yeah. That's because I got UConn. I'm getting UConn.
Wait.
UConn's a win.
Oh, you.
Wagner's a win. Boston College is a win. Florida State's a win. So they're gonna have to.
Okay,
beat
they're going to beat. They're going to beat
Purdue,
Louisville.
Virginia.
They're going to beat Louisville.
All right, week 1. All right,
yeah,
I'll take
they're
that
going
money
to
line
beat
against you. Put that on the books right now.
Okay.
You, Chip. I don't care what that line is.
I will. I
Give me
am
that
going
straight up.
I am going to bet Syracuse money line week 1, and they're going to win. They're going to win week 1.
I'll take it. I'll take that bet from you. I'll put that right now.
Okay. Houston winning week 1.
All right, I got you. I'll take that. We got a little friendly fire here. Greg, what do you got for me?
I got
Anything
nothing
else?
Nothing else on the overs.
What about the unders, man?
Oh yeah. So does anyone else have any? Does anyone else have any overs? Chip, we just talked about Syracuse. You got anything left in the overs tank?
Overs.
That has to be the last one to take.
I had Clemson, NC State, and Cuse. I have more unders than overs in the ACC.
All right, so let me jump into the unders here. So unders, we all talked about Pitt. I don't know if we want to just do a formal couple of minutes on Pitt, but
I assume we all have the under.
Like I said, I'm going the under. I don't know if it's 8.5. I don't know what it is on FanDuel right now or DraftKings, but
I got it 8.5 too.
Yeah, 8.5. I think they're just way overrated.
7.5 now.
7.5.
Under 7.5 is plus 160.
Yep, people are low on them. People are already starting to hit the under, hammer it, whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, when it's 7.5, what that allows you 5 losses on the season. I mean, looking at their schedule, Tennessee, I think, is going to be a little bit of a tougher game than people think. I think all these conference games are just going to be tougher.
I think they could lose the opener, too. I think they could lose the West Virginia game.
They could.
Rivalry game.
Yeah, at home helps them a little bit, but it really is going to come down to what this offense looks like, right? They lose their best wide receiver. They lose their quarterback, who is now in the NFL, and they get rid of their offensive coordinator because they threw the ball too much. You know, to me, that's like the biggest indictment, like on a program. It's like, whether you're bringing in good talent, whether you're recruiting well, whether you have a lot of people back, it's like your coach doesn't like to throw the football in football. Like, that tells me all I need to know about the program and about
a Heisman finalist at quarterback, and you were like, we didn't really like the offense.
Yeah.
A top 5 offense in the country. We want to make a change.
Yeah, it was too good. So I just don't have faith.
But I mean, the reason that they got what's his name, Frank Cignetti, is because they want to make the running game a priority. So, I mean,
but they don't have Bijan Robinson, a running back.
Yeah,
I get your point, but maybe that's when you lose your number 1 quarterback, when you lose your guy to the NFL, maybe you just run. I don't know. 7.5 over is kind of looking enticing to me. Look at the schedule, man. You're about to go through it.
Yeah, so you have to get 8 wins. Like I said, I see 1, 2.
What's the 5 losses?
5 losses to Chip Point, maybe West Virginia, maybe not. That's a little bit of a coin flip. Tennessee, I think, is going to be a problem. I think at Louisville is going to be tough. At North Carolina is going to be tough. At Miami is going to be tough. At Virginia, maybe it's a coin flip.
That's 6 games. They got to win a couple of those coin flips, right? Tough, yeah, but they could win some of those. They're gonna, unless they lose West Virginia and Tennessee 2 straight home games. That's a tough look to start.
Yeah, other than that, to your point, the home schedule is pretty easy. Rhode Island, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and Duke.
Yeah, Q's. Like I'm gonna double down on that one, I think. That was a good one.
Yeah, it kind of depends on, yeah.
I kind of like the over here. Over 7.5 is nice, but it's minus 190.
Yeah, I don't know if they have alternate spreads. I think the original spread was 8.5. When I was looking at 8.5, I was like, I don't see how you get 9 wins on the schedule just because we rattled off 5 or 6, but those last couple are tough because those are projected, right? Those are projected on what you think the team's going to be. And I disagree with the projections. I just don't think they're going to be that good this season. And Pitt's not like a historically great program, right?
And they always lose a game they're supposed to win. Like last year, they lost to Western Michigan. Yeah, and that was just a weird. Last year, they won 11 games. They lost to Western Michigan. Like, I mean, they're gonna, like, we just rattled off games that we think are a coin flip. They could do something crazy like lose at home to Virginia Tech or something. That wouldn't be surprised. That would be a total Pitt thing to do. So I don't have any confidence betting them to win 9 games. I think under 8.5 is certainly the way to go. Maybe you might be right, John, about over 7.5. Maybe they pull off 8 wins, but I don't think 9 is going to happen. I think they definitely lose. I think 8-4 is the best that they do.
Yeah, last year with like they were ranked 8th in the country in passing yards, 6th in points per game, 9th in plays per game, 11th total yards per game. So they were up tempo. They threw the ball. They scored a lot of games in the 40s and 50s. They won by 7 against Tennessee. I remember watching that game. It was early in the season. It was whoever had the ball last. It was back and forth, back and forth. There was a track meet watching that game.
They had the better quarterback, so they won.
And they had the better quarterback. That's true too. Clemson, they won by 10. Miami, they lost. North Carolina, they won by 7. Virginia, they won by 10. And then they lost to Michigan State. So 3 or 4 of those wins with this high-powered Heisman finalist going to the NFL offense, 3 or 4 of those wins were by 1 or 2 scores. So now that you lose all that, I don't know who the new quarterback's going to be. I don't know what his pedigree is, but I don't think it's going to be Kenny Pickett. So, 8.5 is the under that I had. I like that. Maybe 7.5 for me might be a stay away. But even then, you're betting on them not being able to recreate what they did last year, and I don't think they can do it.
Whatever it is, I'm not going to be watching a lot of their games this year because they're going to be boring as shit.
Even though they have cool alternate uniforms.
They do, but I'll watch the opener, the West Virginia game, because it's going to be fun to watch that rivalry game and maybe the Tennessee game. But after that, it's going to be a lot of boring Pittsburgh game. Go back to boring Pitt football without Kenny Pickett. The post Kenny Pickett era, it's going to be boring again. But definitely going the under.
They're always on TV though. That's how they get.
They are. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yes. What else we got for unders besides Wake Forest?
Chip, hit us with one.
Hit us with Wake. What do you think about Wake? I know you like them towards the end of this year.
Yeah. I took the under because I took it. I took. I
thought you were on the over.
No. I took the under on Wake.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I took it like right after when I saw the Sam Hartman news. I got it right after that though. Yeah. So I got it at 8.5 because I saw it and then I just went and like took the under. I was like there, and it was still 8.5, and I was like, nah, I don't think they're gonna win 9 games with a backup quarterback. We have no idea when he's coming back, Hartman. But
if you think he's coming back at the end of this year, the over would be the right pick here, especially because everyone's hammering the under.
Well,
it's off the books on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's 6.5 now, right on DraftKings. The total.
Mm-hmm.
If he does come back, like theoretically, they have a soft schedule to start. We were talking about this before, so yeah, they could start hot, and yeah, I guess they could win 7 games. But I don't know. We have no idea who they're started. They start off VMI at Vanderbilt. So they're 2-0 there. Then they play Liberty at home, which Probably isn't an easy game though.
Yes, I agree.
Then they got Clemson. Then they're at Florida State. Then Army at home, which Army's typically never an easy game. So, and Wake's defense stinks. So you're trying to play that trip. I mean, they'll probably end up winning, but still, that's not an easy win. And then Boston College at home. So you rip off those first two wins and you probably beat Liberty too, but the schedule gets a little dicey after that. So when you don't have any confidence in Hartman coming back, I wouldn't lean over there. If you don't have anything on Wake right now, that's probably a stay away for me. Yeah, just because you don't really know anything about him, because now the under 6.5 is like -190 or something crazy. I'm sure. Like, who knows? Like, you're not gonna make anything betting that. You're better off taking the over and hoping like, oh, they announce tomorrow that Sam Hartman's gonna start in the opener, and you look like you look like a genius. You'd probably be better off doing that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from you, Greg, for the ACC?
Yeah, I got one last under.
I got a couple too. Yeah, when you're done.
I think Georgia Tech's gonna stink.
Yes.
Their over-under is 3.5.
Oh my goodness.
They were, I mean, completely like probably the worst defense in college football. I'm not even gonna tell you the category, but defensive, I was there 130 teams in college football.
Yeah.
Defensively, they ranked 111th, 125, 117th, 117th, 86, 118, 126, 128. Doesn't matter what the category is. It could be turnovers, it could be points per game, points per play, third down conversion percentage. When you're ranked that bad, you stink. And on top of it, everyone's gone. They're bringing 3 people back on defense. They're bringing 5 people back on offense. The big problem with Georgia Tech is they had a beautiful thing going, running the triple option on the offense. And they brought some guy in, Jeff Collins, and he tried to move to more pro style, get rid of the triple option, and it's just not going well. So they haven't been good. I think they're 9-25 in the last 3 years. This is his 4th year. The schedule is absolutely brutal. They're favored in 2 games: West Carolina and Duke. They're favored in. Duke's another one. I don't know if that's coming up too. They stink as well. But I don't know if that. I think that spread's going to change. I think Duke's better than Georgia Tech. Other than that, every game is double-digit underdogs. You have to win 4 games. Say somehow they win against Duke and Western Carolina. They're not going to beat. I'll go through the rest of the schedule. They're not going to beat Clemson. They're not going to beat Ole Miss. They're not going to beat UCF. They're not going to beat Pittsburgh. Maybe Virginia. So maybe that's 3 wins if Virginia really stinks. At Florida State, at Virginia Tech, home against Miami, at North Carolina, at Georgia to finish the season. It's one of the hardest schedules. I think number 2 ranked hardest schedule in all of college football. This coach is gone after this year, if not in the middle of the season. The team's left. It's just not a good situation to be in. So Georgia take under 3.5. I really don't like taking the really low overs and unders. I really don't like taking the unders on the low unders. But I have to in this situation just because I really don't see how they get more than 2 wins. So,
yeah, I don't love that either. But I took this one too, and I took Colorado and I took Arizona because
Colorado's so bad, dude. It's insane.
I think all 3 of them are going to stink. And I was watching the Barstool college football show today, and they were talking about how they think Arizona is going to be better this year. And I'm like, based on what? Like, they gave no explanation for it. They were just like, we think Arizona is going to be better this year. I'm like, I'll believe that when I see it. I'm like, I love the underpick there. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't think Collins makes it through the season, by the way. I think he's most likely to be fired during the season. I think Auburn coach Harsin is definitely right up there with him, but he's got to be the favorite to be fired during the season. Plus, like you said, really hard schedule. Like, they could open I mean, maybe even they lose to Western Carolina, they could.
They could.
Yeah,
They're
who
that
knows?
devoid of talent. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen someone be like ranked like 110th or 120th in the majority of defensive stats, and then only have 3 people come back. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you
That
do.
coach must be an asshole too.
Yeah.
With all these kids transferring. But
Well,
yeah, I could see them opening 1-4 and then them firing him after that before the
yeah.
Duke game for sure. I could see that. But yeah, I like that because I like the lame duck coach under thing too. I think that's why I went with my I have that under. I wrote that one down, so I'm glad you took that. My other under is another lame duck coach, I think, that is Louisville.
Okay.
I think Scott Satterfield is on the way out. They have, like you said, with Georgia Tech, they got one of the hardest schedules in the country. 4 of their first 6 are on the road. Their last 3 are at Clemson, where Louisville has never won at Clemson. Then they're home against NC State, who we all just talked about how much we liked NC State. And then they're on the road against Kentucky, where Kentucky has kicked the shit out of them the last 3 years.
Yeah.
They have a new offensive coordinator, and I didn't even know this was a thing. You guys know more about football than me. Is a co-defensive coordinator a thing? Because
Bro, that's Bill Belichick.
It
He's got
is-
9 co-offensive coordinators, bro.
okay,
It
because
is in college because there's a couple of them, I think.
okay, because Louisville has had the same defensive coordinator the entire time Satterfield's been there, and all of a sudden they just added a co-defensive coordinator this year instead of firing the defensive coordinator, which feels like to me the administration was like, okay, the defense stinks. You need to at least hire this guy to help out your defensive coordinator. I don't know. I just feel like this dude is such a lame duck head coach. Like he's a victim of his own success. They totally overachieved his first year. They went 8-5, and since then they've been 10-14. The past 2 years, 7-11 in the ACC, and on top of that, the AD who hired him after giving him like a public show of support after last year resigned like a week later. So now it's like the when the GM takes over the new team, they always hire their new coach.
Yeah.
Like it's only a matter of time before the new AD hires the coach they like. They'd have to have a crazy season for the guy to keep his job, and I just don't see it. Malik Cunningham is awesome. I realize that, but dude, he was awesome last year, and they still weren't very good. And I mean, I'm looking at all that when I researched it, it's like, yeah, they lost a bunch of close games last year, 4 one-score games last year. They went 6-7, but Cunningham was awesome last year. I think he'll be great again. I don't know, man. How many games are they going to be favored in even? Like when they're going to be favored in the opener, obviously, against Syracuse, but I mean, I guess they'll be favorited. I'm looking. So they're favorited here at Syracuse,
Florida State,
Florida
South
State.
Florida.
Oh, they're favorited on the road at Boston College and at Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, I think that stuff might change. But Louisville's a tough
I
one
don't
for
get
me.
that.
I liked them last year. I took them as a over for me last year. And Malik Cunningham, like you said, is awesome. He's so much fun to watch. Those 4 one-score games you kind of passed over killed me last year.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference between a 6-7 season and
Yeah.
a 10-3 season. Like that's
Yeah.
huge. Like we're having a whole different conversation if they're 10-3 last year and they're returning, 7 people on defense, 7 people on offense. Malik Cunningham, who showed out, I think he showed out his rookie year, right? And that's when they won a bunch of games with him. Now he's, in his senior season and, Heisman possibility, 4,000 total yards on offense, 3,000 passing last year, 1,000 rushing, 19-6 touchdown to interception ratio. Like the conversation completely changes if you're 10-3 versus 6-7. So, and looking at their schedule, to your point, I see one guaranteed loss if they're bad. We have a conversation, but if they're good and they're playing above expectation, I see one guaranteed loss on the schedule, and that's at Clemson. Everything else is open. So it really depends on how you see the program moving. to your point, I'm kind of more on your side of I think the Malik Cunningham and Satterfield experiment's kind of over, and they're moving in a new direction. New AD comes in, they're gonna bring new people in. But if they were successful last year, they brought a couple guys in through the transfer protocol. This would easily be an over for me this season. It's just I just don't think they have it. I don't think Malik Cunningham's that guy. Unfortunately, he's a lot of fun to watch, but not going to lead your team to a 10-win season.
No, I think they'll go to a bowl though. I think they go.
Yeah.
I think they're okay. 6-6. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're taking the under on them, right? So under 6.5.
Yeah, under.
Yeah, so this would be quite a bowl game if they got 6 wins.
Yeah, for sure.
You're treading a real thin line there. Say they're gonna have under 6.5 wins, but they're gonna be in a bowl game. I guess nowadays everyone gets in a bowl game.
6 wins gets you in a bowl game now. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
What's the Barstool
know.
ball game? The Barstool has the bowl game this year, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
mad about.
They were supposed to do it last year, and then it got canceled.
It's a MAC. It's a MAC team.
Oh, it's MAC. Okay.
It's a MAC against Mountain West, right?
Yeah, it was gonna be like in Arizona last year. But yeah, John, do you have any unders?
We mentioned
talked
most
about
of
already?
them. Yeah, because like the ACC, I used to have a lot of fun with them, like watching Duke run the ball. Honestly, Daniel Jones' year was such a good year. I love Duke that year. He was killing it. I'm not really watching the bottom of the barrel.
Fun for a while. UNC was fun for a while with Hal, Michael Carter, and Javante. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too deep into the bottom of the barrel of the ACC, to be honest with you. So I don't want to just like rattle off stuff. But I mean, I'm with you guys on the unders. I mean, by default, I'm not betting them, but by default, right? Because I'm looking at the schedule. I'm talking about how these teams are going to beat Georgia Tech, about how these teams are going to beat Pitt. You know what I mean? I kind of like to Pitt over because it's been getting bed down so hard. But I'm really focused on NC State here. I'm focused on Miami to try to, beat expectations. And I'm worried about Clemson to see what they got. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm thinking ACC. Being from the Northeast, we went to UAlbany, right? I mean, college football is not our first love. We don't have loyalty here. So, there's a lot of fun football I watch. Like, we just mentioned the MAC, right? I like the bottom of the ACC, the bottom of the Big 10, Big 12 games, Hawaii games at night. They're fun. But I don't really have analysis on, like, the Georgia Tech season. I just think they stink. So I agree. I don't have analysis on Colorado. I just think they stink. Teams like Wake Forest, it depends on their quarterback. To be honest, with the way Chip's talking, I think we should take the over on Wake. Because the way he's talking, I do think the quarterback's going to come back. I think that's a great hypothesis here. So that's how I feel about it. I was all over Miami going into this conversation with my research, to be honest with you. I took a bunch of them in my crazy parlays. I think I'm going to have to start redoing some. I think I need to take NC State in a couple parlays here, to be 100% honest with you. So that's how I feel about the ACC.
Yeah, before we get back to Chip, for any more unders he has, you mentioned that we went to UAlbany. We're talking ACC a little bit. Shout out to Jared Verse, UAlbany stud, got transferred over to Florida State. I don't blame him, man. The winter's going to be a lot better down at Florida State than up at UAlbany.
I saw his name pop up in the magazine I was reading, too. I thought it was like a typo for a second. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, I think Florida State's going to have a tough year. I think, maybe they're building something there, maybe not. I can never tell with Florida State, but shout out to him.
He's been so bad for so long.
Yeah, and they always have the expectation because it's Florida State. So.
Mine is Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
My boy.
Chip, any other unders?
I was actually just going to ask you guys what you think of Florida State because I was staring at them for a long time, and I was like, there's something so uninspiring about them. I kind of want to take the over because it's low, but man, they're so uninspiring. Like
the best couple of years, 100%.
Yeah, I just think every single game is going to be an absolute dogfight. Like maybe Georgia Tech, Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette. Okay, and I don't even know how to say the first name on their schedule there. DeQuaisney, or whatever.
Oh, they're playing Duquesne. Jesus fuck, I can't say it. Duquesne. They open up against, right?
It's one way.
They
to
have a
spell it.
dominant running game, right? So that's why it's going to be ugly, like you said, and close because they're going to run the ball a million times. But what do you guys think about Jordan Travis?
I mean, I don't think he's a Heisman contender.
Yeah, but can he win football games? Because the more
I mean,
understand
he won
what Chip's
football
feeling.
games last year, but
I understand what Chip's feeling because it makes me also want to take the over. That's like fading the public. Florida State didn't have a losing season for 40 years, and all of a sudden they've been bad for the last 5 years.
they started 0-4 last year for the first time in 45 years, and they had that humiliating loss to Deion Sanders and Jacksonville State, their first loss ever to an FCS team. And it's like, and then people were talking about Norvell getting fired, and then he had to go like 5-3 down the stretch just to keep his job, which isn't even that impressive of a record in college football, but just going that record just kept his job. Like at Florida State, that's really not that impressive historically. But they've gone under their preseason win total 5 straight seasons, 6 if you include the COVID year. So they just haven't lived up to expectations for a really long time, obviously. I don't know. But again, their defense is expected to be good. I just don't know if they're going to have the offense to get it done, which has been the theme there for a while, it seems like. Since Jameis, I guess. I mean, have they had a stud since Jameis? I don't know.
Yeah, so over 6.5 wins. Like I said, I see 3 wins on the record. Other than that, you just have a litany of coin flip games. LSU on a neutral site, at Louisville, home against Wake Forest, at Miami, at Syracuse, home against Florida. Those are all coin flip games. Spread is less than 7 on each of those. So, could you end up winning 4 of those games? Like, sure, LSU might be a little bad again this season. At Louisville might not be so good like we were just talking about, but you have to go to Louisville. That's tough. Home against Wake Forest, okay, maybe you could win that one. It's a lot to just kind of piecemeal together 4 wins on the schedule. I think the schedule is just too tough for them where they're sitting right now. So I would lean under.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk myself into the over. You just talked. Like, after that Duquesne game, I'm just looking at all of these, from LSU to Clemson, and I'm like, man, I could see them losing all of those games. If Hartman's back for the Wake game, LSU, Louisville, Boston College, Wake, at NC State, Clemson at home, I could see them a scenario where they lose all or majority of those games.
Right, they might win against Boston College, but other than that, it's tough.
Yeah. Like on the road at Louisville, they could lose on the road.
I'm excited to see this Louisville team, man. You are flip-flopping on them all day.
No, I'm not flip. I got the under. I'm just saying it's a road game in the ACC.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these teams, especially the more we talk about them.
Malik Cunningham's a lot of fun to watch.
Yes,
you said that a couple times here today. I'm excited about that.
They have cool jerseys. They're shiny helmets. I mean, what's not to like?
Let's go.
Chip, any other unders you got here?
I don't have any. I was trying to talk myself into a Florida State over because I want to take another over.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too, honestly. But
I'm not confident enough in them. I'm really not. Yeah, I can't do it.
I'm with you. So, John, you want to wrap up real quick with conference winners? Even though we kind of talked about it a piece, here and there. Do you want to just formally go through?
I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of like Miami, but now I'm going NC State, especially that it's more value. I can't believe that it's more value.
Makes no sense to me.
So yeah, I'm going with NC State. I'm definitely sprinkling on Miami, and I'm taking Clemson in some parlays too. But I'm scared of the ACC, man. I'm scared of it. To be honest with you, I don't love it as much as I love Alabama and Ohio State. Or even Oregon. I know, even though Utah scares me to be, I don't, just looking back at the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't know.
Still sleeping on USC.
Pac-12.
Okay.
I'm gonna be snoring at USC. I'm gonna be loving that Notre Dame USC game. I hope they lose to UCLA the week before too. Oh, That'd be fantastic.
Oh my God, to UCLA. Oh wow.
That'd be amazing. Oh, LA would be going crazy. I would love that so much.
USC's not going to lose to UCLA.
John, to your point though on NC State, now that we've come full circle and we've been talking for an hour about this conference, I might throw $50 on NC State to win the national championship.
Well, what's them to make it? What's them to make it?
I don't know.
To make the college football playoff. Look at what that is.
What is that? Because if they win the conference, I know we touched on it. If they win the conference, they're going to the
dude.
playoffs.
If they beat Clemson in the regular season,
and in the
well, no,
I mean, yeah, then they wouldn't play them in the conference.
If they win, like at Clemson, October 1st is the season.
Yeah, exactly.
If you win that, you have a legitimate shot at going undefeated the whole season. If you're an ACC champion, beating Miami, going undefeated, that's a recipe for, especially if you have a top 10 defense or something crazy like that, a good offense. That
even one loss.
Yeah, one loss would be tough, but if you're undefeated, you have a legit shot at making the college football playoff representing the ACC.
Because there's only 2 spots, right?
There's 4.
No, there's 2. There's the winner of the SEC and there's the winner of the Big Ten. Right?
Oh,
there's 2 spots.
Well,
those 2.
Well, there's Ohio State and Alabama are going.
Yeah, those are the 2 spots. There's only really 2 spots, right?
Right.
So that's what you're betting on.
And to your point about one loss, like it depends. Like if you're a big name, recognizable name, if you have a big fan base, that's going to generate a lot of revenue. And you have one loss, like okay, Alabama won the SEC, but Georgia has one loss. Okay, I could see him going in. But to be NC State and make it to the Final Four of all of college football, you have to be perfect. You have to have a good team to go with it.
You probably have to run the table.
Yeah, and we saw some really good teams run the table that still didn't make it in. So you have to be like Cincinnati made it last year, because they were amazing on defense. So people wanted to see that defense.
Georgia loses 2 games this year.
Well, we'll talk
about that.
We'll talk about later in this week.
We talked about week 1 a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So week 1 is an L.
So, Chip, do you have the
week 1 is an L? Oh, okay.
Do you have
Bowie Knicks, baby?
NC State? Do you have NC State to make the playoff? Those odds?
Plus 1,400 on DraftKings.
I love that,
dude. I like that.
Forget betting the conference for $750.
I like them both.
Yeah,
I like them both. You know, if I put $50 on each.
But if you win the conference, you get into the playoff.
Yeah.
So you could bet both, but chances are it would be a travesty if they win the ACC.
But not by your logic. If they have one loss, because if they beat Clemson once, they're gonna get into the championship even if they lose.
I get what you're saying. Like they might beat Clemson, but then they might lose a weird game towards the end of the season.
Any game. You know what I mean? Then they're gonna win the conference. And to your point, but I think they should still make it. But then it becomes a question mark.
That's a good point.
But there's 2 spots. There's 2 spots, man. It's Georgia. It's the winner of the Pac-12. There's the winner of the ACC. Because Notre Dame could win every game by 65 points, and they're not making it after the showing that they've been putting up in the national championship games. So
I don't know about that. People love Notre Dame.
I really think it comes down to I don't think anymore, man. I don't think anymore when it comes to national championship stuff. I think it comes down to 3 teams in 2 spots. So we'll see, man.
Chip, give us your conference pick and conference winners, Heisman stuff, and we'll wrap it up.
Oh, I think Clemson's going to win the conference, but I'll put them in some parlays.
Is that minus money?
Yes, it's minus money. So I'm just going to put them in some
like
parlays.
The good old days.
Yeah. I hate to bet someone else to win the conference just because I think Clemson's going to. So you guys talk me into to hedge. I like NC State plus 1,400 to make the playoff. I think I'll do that because like I was talking earlier, I think NC State's going to be good too. I just think Clemson's going to go back to being great, and I got them winning the conference. But NC State plus 1,400 to make the playoff. I already bet Clemson to make the playoff. Might as well bet NC State too.
What is that? What is Clemson playoff?
It was still plus 145. on
See,
DraftKings.
that is better than winning the conference, in my opinion.
Oh, I took that. Yeah,
Over
I didn't.
NC
I
State
didn't.
winning the conference.
I didn't take.
By the logic, because Clemson could lose a game. You know what I mean? For no damn reason. Or, but they can't lose the conference game, of course, right? They have to win that game to get it, but they could lose a stupid game. They could lose to NC State. You know what I mean? Still get to the conference game somehow, some way, because they routed everybody else, and then go to the conversation because Dabo Sweeney's just yelling everywhere. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Anything else? This is a long episode with the ACC. I mean,
it's the
where else can you get this? Where else can you get this besides Winning Picks Weekly?
Nowhere.
You're damn right. That's what the silence is all about. Anyone have any last thoughts here?
No, another good episode. We'll be back for some SEC, a little Big 12. Got a lot of football going on. Maybe it's football season.
Week 0 coming up.
Shout out to freaking you, Albany. And shout out to the Jets, baby. Getting wins in the rain out here in MetLife. Getting fumble sixes, baby. Let's go. I love it. All right. You know what it is, guys. If you've listened all the way through here, we love you. Thanks for participating with our Twitter, with our comments. If you haven't already, like and subscribe on our YouTube, Knicks, Jets, etc. period. You can catch our podcast individually, Winning Picks Weekly, Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, you name it, we are there. That's about it, boys. Anything else?
No, see you guys next time at Chip Murphy 7 on Twitter.
At Winning P Weekly on Twitter. At Knicks, Jets, etc. on Twitter.
Let's go, Jets.
Shout out.
Go Yankees. Go Yankees. Nice win tonight.
Any thoughts, Greg, about the win tonight?
Sweeps on, but we got another game tomorrow.
Shout out to Jared Verse. You Albany, baby. Let's go.